be a screw, feel my own adrenaline. Yeah, I do just what I do, and I hope you let me in, yeah.
Hello and welcome back, fellow anime lovers, to Cypherfics. I am delighted to have you join us once again in the world of fanfiction and fantasy. This is the 9th part of, What If Ichigo Enters KUROINU? Special note, this fanfic is written and a masterpiece of Takamagara 2012 on fanfiction.net. Do check and support the author too. Now smash the like, share and subscribe button for more. Also press the bell icon so that you never miss such great parts. Thanks for the introduction. Now let's dive into the world. The next morning. Seishin. Seishin, where are you? Aliyah called out as she and 3 of the castle maids wearing Victorian maid outfits were looking around for Seishin. The 4 looked at each room, but they couldn't find him. It was then that they arrived at Claudia's bedroom. The elf apprentice opened the door up before she and the maids blushed at the sight before them. They saw Seishin laying in the middle of an all-female mattress. The young man was laying on top of Ranjaku, Olga, Nina, and Claudia, with the young man's head between the endowed pairs of mammary melons. Nozomi, Chloe, and Alicia, as well as Yoriichi, Kurenai, and Fenrir were hugging his arms. And lastly, Prim, Kagaya, Evelyn, Kachu, and Maya were wrapped around his waist. Seishin, on the other hand, was in the center of it all. His eyes all bloodshot, his body, despite it being covered by his HRM of women, was worn out like a shriveled-up strawberry. Oh, dear gods, Seishin! Aliyah cried as she ran to the bed. The other women noticed to see her rushing over, so they all moved out of the way. The elf climbed on the bed and immediately used her elf magic to restore Seishin's stamina once more. What happened? Claudia thanked me for what happened the other day. The other girls wanted in on the action, and then, the rest was all a blur. A big boobalicious blur. Seishin answered as he sat up after taking his few breaths. His HRM of appealing women all chuckled at the young man's answer, before he sported an embarrassed scowl while he donned his Shinigami uniform. Thanks for restoring me again. Aliyah chuckled as she hugged him for a few seconds before landing a punch on his shoulder. Your Majesty. One of the maids called out to Seishin. She was a blue-eyed young woman with long golden blonde hair with 2 thick long strands that ran down past her medium-sized assets. The other young woman has dark red short hair with long bangs on the side of her head, and hazel-colored eyes. Finally, the third maid has raspberry red hair, sky-blue eyes, large melons, rivaling Chloe's and curvy hips. The maids all gazed at Seishin's muscularly slim torso and his handsome face before a blush colored their cheeks before the blonde maid continued. We do have breakfast ready for you. Oriheim and Ichigo were an incredible help. Sweet. Thank you very much for letting me know. Seishin smiled at the blonde, which made them smile and blush before they left. A minute later, Seishin and the other ladies all went to the large bathroom to freshen themselves. While all the ladies were cleaning themselves, Seishin, already finished cleaning, using his Hano-Kyuran went to assist the women. As the clones were helping the ladies, Seishin was just finishing up with Claudia. My, Seishin. Those hands of yours never cease to impress me. Claudia cooed as she felt Seishin's hands washing her back with a soapy sponge. It's making my body tingle all over. Hee, I'm glad you are enjoying it as much as I do, Claudia. Seishin kindly replied with a happy chuckle. I should do the same to you after we save Celestine-sama. Claudia said as she nuzzled her face against Seishin's right cheek, earning a blush from the young man. I wouldn't mind that at all. I'm looking forward to that. Seishin said before Claudia planted an embrace on his lips. He then swims to the stairs on the left side of the pool before making one last announcement. After you all are cleaned and dressed, meet me in the training room down in the basement. Seishin said before a sudden voice caught him off guard. Cannonball. It was Roro who was running towards the large pool, naked like the day she was born. She ran towards the large body of water with her eyes closed, laughing like a little child. As Seishin was about to get out of the pool, Roro jumped and Seishin got a face full of the ringlet's hairless crotch. Seishin groaned from the sudden impact and Roro gasped before a pleasing feeling from her loins tingled up and down her spine when she accidentally collided crotch first into his face before they fell in the water. Kachu, Claudia, and the others all rushed to Seishin and helped him out. Seishin, please wake up. Kachu cried as she and the others tried to wake him up. Nina and Claudia both did mouth-to-mouth resuscitation for a minute before Seishin immediately woke up to see all of the princesses, as well as Aaliyah, Olga, Chloe, Kurenai and Fenrir. Seishin, I'm so sorry. Roro pleaded her apology to Seishin. I was so excited to jump in the pool, that I didn't see you coming. Please forgive me. Seishin chuckled as he softly pet Roro's head. The young ringlet princess blushed when she felt his hand petting her head before she looked to see his smiling face. When she saw his smile, she wore her friendly smile. I know you didn't mean to do that, so don't worry about it, Roro. Seishin kindly answered, which made her tail wag. Ah. Thank you, Seishin-sama. Roro answered as her tail wagged even faster before she jumped in his arms and hugged him. Seishin blushed for a minute before he hugged her back. Roro giggled before she ate Seishin's left side of his face, which surprised him for a second. Hee, now I marked you. Roro continued to giggle before her mahogany eyes gazed at Seishin's crimson eyes. When we all defeat Volt and save our home, I want to be your wife, just like the others. Well, there's always plenty of room here. Seishin grinned before he turned to the other ladies. What do you say? Wanna let Roro in on the HRM? The princess knights and the other ladies all pondered over Roro's offer. They murmured it over with each other before they all smiled, turned to Seishin and Roro and giggled. Roro, we all know you also have a crush on Seishin Dano. Maya grinned at the young man before shifting her attention to Roro. You don't need to ask, you are a part of Seishin's HRM after all. Well, Roro, there's your answer. Seishin answered before Roro smiled and hugged him once more, happily cheering now that she's already in the HRM. Now, are you all ready for training? We got until dusk before we plan to raid Volt's headquarters and save Celestine. Are you with me? Yeah. The ladies cheered. Later that same afternoon, moments after they all had a big breakfast, Seishin, standing alongside Ichigo, Rukia, Yoriichi, Nozomi, Yachiru, and Ranjaku, all waited in the large training room in the basement, awaiting the princess knights to arrive. Orihime stood along with Ichigo, and both Nina and Evelyn stood with Seishin as they waited patiently for their chivalrous friends to arrive. Soon after a minute had passed, the knights and allies all arrived. In order, Olga, Chloe, Alicia and Prim, Maya, Kagaya, Roro, Claudia, Murasaki, Ingrid, Kachu, Kurenai and Fenrir. Alongside them were Claudia's Holy Knight Army, Kagaya's Shrine Maidens and Alicia's bodyguards following them into the center of the training room. Welcome to your new training session. Seishin said. From here, I'll help you all train to tap into your hidden potential. Your new powers will give you all an advantage against Volt and his soon-to-be empowered group. So how will we tap into our new potential, Seishin-sama? Kagaya kindly asked. Very good question, Kagaya. Seishin answered. What I will do is offer only a little bit of my powers to each of you as a catalyst to tap into your new powers. Some of you here have already tapped into your powers, and I'm pointing out Olga, Chloe, Kachu, Kurenai, and Kagaya, Orihime and Rukia can help you MSTR and sharpen your powers. Seishin Dano, who will we fight to help us improve ourselves? Maya asked him. You'll be fighting amongst yourselves. Seishin answered as he turned to Maya and then to the others. Each of you will spar with the other while Ichigo, Yoriichi, Rukia, Nozomi, Yachiru, and Ranjaku as well as myself will monitor and assist with your progress. You'll also learn some coordinated attacks as well. Ichigo added. You all can make up your own team attack with pretty much anyone. KUROINU will never anticipate it and it'll make your payback quite stylish. Miss Rukia, how are we going to spar with each other? Claudia asked her. It's quite alright, Claudia. Seishin, Ichigo and myself have already discussed who will spar with who, so here is who you all will face. Rukia said before stepping forward. Everyone will be in groups of 3. Group 1 will be Alicia, Prim and Claudia. Those 3 will be with Ranjaku and myself. Group 2 will be Kurenai, Fenrir, and Maya. They will be with Yachiru, Ichigo, and Yoriichi. Lastly, Murasaki, Ingrid, and Kachu will train with Seishin. Yachiru, please don't use your Zanpakuto's power. Rukia begged. You can use your Zanpakuto, but don't awaken your power. Ah. Okay. Yachiru groaned. That's right. Ichigo added. We'll monitor you all and at the same time, we'll give you some tips on using your weapon. Do not worry, everyone's gonna do great. That I know. Seishin said until Murasaki, Kachu and Ingrid approached him. We would love to have you help us, Seishin. Ingrid said. Thank you for offering your services. Murasaki kindly nodded, which made Seishin smile in return. But can you really handle all 3 of us at once? Kachu asked her, feeling worried. Seishin simply smiled as he softly caressed their faces. The 3 ladies blushed a dark red as they smiled back lovingly. I'll be fine. Seishin replied. Don't hold back. Let me see your full power so I can help see what you can improve on. Oh. Hey, Olga. Chloe. Come join me. I'll help you out as well. Alright. Chloe answered before she and Olga went over to the young man. Hey Orihime, what are you about to do? Ichigo asked her as she approached Kaguya and the maidens. I can also help those that know healing abilities. Orihime added. I think earlier I had sensed Kaguya possessing a healing ability, through my Shun Rika. You can help me, Orihime? Kaguya questioned with an eager look on her face. I would love to have you teach me. Seishin-sama, if it's not too much trouble, I wish to learn your abilities, like what you taught Chloe. What do you call these skills you and your Soul Reaper friends call? Kido. Olga asked him as she blushed a light pink as she looked to the side. She was nervous about asking, but even more nervous on showing off her innocent side. To Seishin, he finds it to be pretty cute. Still, he smiled as he approached her and held her hands in his. You don't need to be nervous, Olga. Seishin said, which made the Dark Elf Queen return her sight to him. Yoriichi, Rukia, and I would be happy to teach you all that we taught Chloe to you. Olga listened to his response, her blush darkened from seeing his kind smile. That same smile that he shared with her and Chloe after the two had first acquainted. The Dark Elf Queen's heart skipped a beat before she sported her calm smile. Thank you, my future king. A dark red blush was shown when Olga kindly complimented him. Seishin smiled before he leaned in and kissed her lips for a few seconds. Seishin, are you ready? Rukia called out. Of course, I am ready. Seishin said with a calm smile before turning to the other princess knights along with Fenrir, Kurenai, Murasaki, and Ingrid. I know you all will succeed. Now, are you all ready? Yes, sir. The group answered in unison. Now, begin. Seishin yelled. Soon after Seishin gave them the order to start their training, everyone charged towards each other with their weapons in hand. All weapons clashed all across the massive room. Each of them began to MSTR coordinated attacks. They even grouped up with the others to make each team attack work. Meanwhile, Seishin's spar with Kachu, Murasaki, Ingrid, Chloe and Olga was going full force. Murasaki and Ingrid were attacking the Soul Reaper with no holding back. Murasaki was in her kaijo form from using her ninjutsu, Immortal Awakening, Ninpu, Fushur Kakusei, and Ingrid was in her revealing Infernal Hell Dragon form. Ingrid unleashed her evil flame dragon claw sword, Yakushima en no Ryutsunken, and Murasaki let out an enhanced version of her ninjutsu, Wind Scythe. Seishin saw the two attacks coming at him before a smirk was formed as he unleashed his Hano Ryujin to counter their combined move. Just then, Kachu charged at him through the smoke to land an attack. As every group sparred with the other, the first person Seishin gave advice was Kachu. "Your sword skills are sharp, Kachu," Seishin said, which made the dragon princess smile. "Now it's time you tame the dragon within you." "You mean my dragon form?" She questioned his suggestion. "That's right," he answered. "You are able to tap into that transformation with ease. Now I want to see you breathe fire." "Can you do it, Kachu?" "Breathing fire is something I haven't tried," she said as she pondered over that idea. The memory of her when she tapped into her draconic awakening when she alongside Seishin and the others against Jinyal came to her mind. She was ambitious, willing to save her home from the demonic captain. She then returned her sight to Seishin with newfound confidence after remembering that moment, "But for you, my king, I'll do it." Kachu watched as Seishin stepped back before she turned into her half-dragon form. She turned to her duplicate and glared with her amber-colored eyes before she inhaled. She closed her eyes and took in what her beloved said. Kachu opened her eyes and with a loud roar, Kachu let out an intense blast of fire. It flew past Kachu's duplicate before hitting the wall, leaving a ring of ash permanently on the wall. Kachu fell on her knee, coughing, before Seishin helped her back up. "You okay?" he asked. "A little. My throat hurts from breathing that much fire," Kachu answered before she felt her throat healing thanks to Seishin's abilities. "You did well for your first time." Seishin smiled at her. "I know you'll mstr this without it hurting you. My Zanpakuto will also assist later on, okay?" "Okay, love." Kachu smiled before she kissed his lips once more before she walked to the new bleachers and sat down before Anna gave her some water. Ichigo assisted Claudia with mastering her handling some more. The orange-haired Shinigami kindly gave her some tips to maintain control of her longsword with ease. He also helped teach her some of his battle style. At the same time, Rukia assisted both Alicia and Prim on how to move freely with their weapons like dancing. Rukia then showed the two princesses her battle style. With Sodi no Shirayuki, Chloe, Olga, Murasaki, and Ingrid continued to spar with Seishin as he evaded each of their moves. Some of them were able to graze him lightly, but they were nothing he couldn't handle. As he continued to spar with, he closely monitored Murasaki and Ingrid's forms to see what they could do to improve on. He then noticed Chloe appearing out of nowhere as she attempted to strike Seishin down with her daggers. He immediately drew his Zanpakuto and parried the daggers away, accidentally breaking the blades. Seishin immediately stopped to help gather them up. "I'm sorry, Chloe. Are you alright?" he asked. "I'm fine, but my daggers aren't," Chloe answered as her ears drooped a little. "Chloe, since the first day we met you've carried those daggers, right?" Seishin asked her. "Yes, the daggers are the only weapons I have," Chloe answered. "I had these for a long time, they were given to me by Olga-sama when I was little." "Why'd you ask?" "Well, let me make it up to you. I'm pretty sure that there's a blacksmith, here in Dragondala," Seishin answered. "I'll have them help you fix them as well as making your dream weapon." Chloe was surprised. Hearing that Seishin is going to help her make her new weapon not only made her heart skip a beat, but it made her feel like she was floating. The loyal assistant of the Dark Elf Queen ran toward Seishin and hugged him tightly, with a smile on her face. "Thank you, Seishin-sama," Chloe said. "I wish to repay you for your kindness. Someday." "You're welcome," Seishin replied. Just then, the maid with golden blonde hair arrived at the training room. She saw Seishin talking with Chloe before she ran off to draw a picture of her new weapon. As the maid approached him, Seishin turned to notice her. A smile was shown as the blonde stood and bowed before him. "Your Majesty, we are out of some food to make for tonight's dinner," the blonde-haired woman said. "I would go out, but the others along with myself are busy with other errands here in the castle. I have a list of the food we're out of. Don't worry about it," Seishin answered before he softly placed his hand on her right shoulder while smiling. "Just keep fixing the rest of dinner while I'll get those groceries. Once you're all done in the kitchen, you and the others can take the week off. You deserve it." "Aha. Thank you, Seishin-sama." The blonde-haired maid smiled and hugged him before running back to the kitchen. Seishin looked at the list and saw that they do need quite a bunch of each of them. "Ladies, I got to make a quick run, but I'll be back. Keep on training while I'm absent," Seishin said before he ran off before motioning Chloe to come along with him. Minutes later, the three arrived in the center of town with the list in hand. When the townspeople saw Seishin, they all cheered for him, thanking him for saving their home. One of the shopkeepers ran to approach him. "Your Majesty, thank you so much for saving this land," the shopkeeper said with a warm smile on his face. "If it wasn't for you, I would never get to see my wife again." "You're very welcome. My friends and I are glad to help," Seishin answered with a chuckle. "I rather see this town flourish with life than fall to ruin by Jinyal's hands." "Yeah. Oh, I see you're in need of help," the shopkeeper said before he kindly took the list from Seishin's hands before reading it. Lucky for you, this bazaar has everything you need. Come with me. We'll get what you need." "Thank you very much," Seishin said as he followed the shopkeeper through the bazaar. The man called out to the others to help the new king out. The two went to the fisherman first thing. The shopkeeper explained what Seishin wanted and they kindly provided him to the farmers, to the bakers. They were able to gather all the groceries the young man needed. Within minutes, Seishin stood in front of a horse-drawn carriage, with baskets full of fruits, vegetables, and many desserts. Wow! That's quite a lot. Seishin was baffled at a large amount of food. "We just got large shipments from across the border each day," the female farmer answered. "So we'll be able to handle our business well, thanks to you." "Hee, no problem." Seishin smiled. "Could you point me to the blacksmith? I want to help Chloe with getting her daggers fixed, along with making a new weapon for her." "Of course, King. Let me take you both to the town's blacksmith," the shopkeeper answered before he took both him and Chloe to the blacksmith's shop. It was a medium-sized, garage-shaped shack filled with swords, daggers, axes, and other weapons. In the back under a dim-lit room was the workstation. After showing Seishin and Chloe the place, the shopkeeper kindly bowed before Seishin before he left. Then a couple, a tall lean young man, brown eyes, and matching short hair approached the young man. His wife has shoulder-length, raven-black hair, an ample bosom, and a slender but attractive appearance. When the couple saw Seishin, they both kindly bowed before him. "Hello, Your Majesty." The young woman greeted him with a caring smile. "Hello, mighty king. How can I help you?" the young man kindly asked him. "Hi, I was wondering if you can help repair Chloe's daggers," Seishin asked them. "So you must be Chloe?" the woman kindly asked, which the young elf blushed and nodded. "And could you also make this as well?" Chloe asked as she held out a drawing of her new weapon. It was a drawing of a pitch-black compound bow with violet accents on it. It was well descriptive with what she wants her new weapon to be like. The limbs were shaped like a bat with vine-like wires around on both ends of the limbs. Circular pulleys on each side, and the thread are not only strong but balanced. The arrows that she wanted were designed to be accurized, able to streamline through the air and hit her enemies whether she's near them or away from them. The bow is quite the challenge, but it's nothing too difficult. We got the parts to make both your bow and the arrows you want. We'll get your dreamed weapon done for you, Chloe. The young man answered, which made Chloe smile. She kindly gave them her daggers and the three of them bowed. My king, it will take us only a few minutes to repair the daggers. We have the metals to make them stronger. The bow will take a couple of hours or less for us to make it. The male blacksmith said as Seishin kindly gave them a large sum of gold coins, compliments to his inheritance to the Dragondala kingdom. We have a few others that will be assisting us arriving in a few hours. We'll get your weapons done and we'll have one of the royal guards report to you. Will do. Thanks. Seishin said before he and Chloe arrived at the carriage. The two got on and rode their way to the castle. Seishin-sama, thanks. Chloe said. I didn't really do much. Seishin answered. I mean. Thanks, for all that you have done. Chloe continued. You saved almost all of us, you and Yoriichi-sensei taught me new spells. But the biggest thing you've done is open my heart to others. I can't repay for all that you have done, but I hope that this one will. All I did was help a little, the rest was all y-. Seishin was suddenly gasped when he felt Chloe fishing out his hung. See Chloe? What are you doing? Seishin cried. Repaying you, of course. Chloe said as she stroked his. While on a carriage. Seishin asked her, which made Chloe smirk before she brought her melons out and sandwiched his between her mounds. Seishin immediately blushed a dark red when he saw her perky melons, which made Chloe chuckle some more. My melons may not be as big as Olga-sama's or Evie's, but they are more than enough to please you. Chloe said as she squished his between her soft mounds. See Chloe, I. Seishin tries to reason with her until she interrupts him with a smile on her face. Seishin-sama. Just shut up and enjoy this. Chloe giggled before she put her saliva on Seishin's before stroking it with her mounds and sucked the tip with her mouth. Oh, sweet Cammy. Seishin gasped as he felt the pleasuring feel of Chloe's mouth and mounds, pleasing his as they were halfway towards the castle. The young elf looked up at her mstr/lover with lustful eyes as she sucked on his, making a lewd duckbill look. Gasps were replaced with short moans as he felt the suction of her lips and the softness of her melons giving him such pleasure. Chloe chuckled while sucking on his girth before she removed her lips. Seishin-sama. I love you so much, just as much as the others do. Chloe smiled as she gazed into his eyes before she resumed her paizuri, but with a quickened pace. As she continued, she felt Seishin's rod swelling up, ready to erupt like a volcano. See Chloe, I'm coming. Seishin looked down at Chloe, who winked at him, letting him know that she wanted him to come. Chloe went her fastest as Seishin felt his grip loosening. After taking his deep in her mouth, Seishin felt his breaking point. The young man's exploded in her mouth, filling her up to the brim while some of it leaked out of her mouth and landed on her melons. Chloe took her time slowing her breathing down as she drank down Seishin's milk. Seishin panted strong after feeling his body trying to relax from his CLMX. As Seishin opened his eyes, the two arrived in front of the carriage entrance. Chloe wrapped her arm around his right and snuggled against his body. I gotta say, that's one way to repay someone. Seishin said while he was catching his breath. Chloe giggled before she had up the remains of Seishin's cream off her melons. Seishin blushed a dark red as he watched her lick off the last remains off her nipples in a stuffed manner. I'm looking forward to our future together. Chloe said as she nuzzled against his neck. All of us are going to be happy to have you as our husband. I'm looking forward to that, too. Seishin smiled before the young man leaned in and kissed her lips before Chloe wrapped her arms around his neck. It took a minute before the two pulled their lips back. Come on, Chloe. Let's help bring these groceries in. We still got plenty of time in the afternoon to help you practice on your keto. Soon before the day ends, your new bow will be ready. I can't wait. Chloe answered with eagerness before she followed Seishin and picked up the groceries. Afterward, the two were reunited with the others before they resumed training for another few hours. The sun began to set and everyone was in the dining hall. On the table, there were 3 large turkeys the size of a car tire and cooked to perfection. Alongside it was cooked mixed vegetables, stuffing, mac and cheese, mashed potatoes, plenty of gravy, and pumpkin pie. Everyone enjoyed the mouth-watering dinner. I must say, Oriheim, you definitely topped it off really well, Ingrid said as she took her last bite of the turkey. Thanks for the compliment, Ingrid, Oriheim answered. Aliyah, Evelyn, Nina, Kachu, and the others had assisted me in making these dishes. If you like, I'll be happy to share my recipes with you all if you like. That would be great. Thank you, Oriheim, Murasaki said as she finished drinking the last of her glass of homemade fruit juice. Ah! This meal hits the spot, Maya said. Nothing says relaxation after training than a good meal and a hot bath. I agree, Maya. Alicia happily agreed. We just finished training for tonight. Tomorrow, we'll be going back to training. Yeah, I can feel myself getting stronger. Very soon, we'll be more than strong enough to take on Volt and his goons, and save Celestine-sama. Kachu said. That's right, Kachu, Anna added. I'll be cheering for you all when you go. I love the enthusiasm you all are showing right now, Seishin said. You all go freshen up and get some rest. Tomorrow, we'll continue training and very soon, we'll save Celestine. Yes, sir, the girls replied before they all left. Chloe, wait 1 second, Seishin called her. One of the royal guards came back with a package for you. Seishin brought out her package in a purple box, wrapped all around with a dark violet wrapper. He approached the right-hand elf and happily gave her the box. It's my bow and daggers, Chloe cried as she took the box from his hands and tore through it like a little kid opening her first Christmas present. Chloe gasped in sheer joy as she saw her daggers first. She picked them up and twirled them with ease before sliding them in their sheaths. She then turned her sights before picking up her dream weapon in her hands. A pair of sleek but strong pitch-black limbs made of the finest metals, the handle of the bow was made of metallic kid skin, a smooth but firm kind of LTHR. The thread attached to the pulleys were made of natural fibers. Lastly, there was a set of 30 arrows, each of them with violet tips, and the fletching was colored in a violet and dark violet pattern. What do you think? Seishin asked her. This is perfect, Chloe cried. It only needs one last adjustment. What's th? Seishin watched as Chloe took a deep breath while holding her hands out. Dark magic began to envelop her hands. After taking another breath, she placed her hands on her arrows and enveloped them with her dark magic. As for the bow, a symbol of an eclipse was magically etched on both sides of the LTHR. Dark green vines were sprouting all around the limbs and on each corner were small flowers. Soon after she finished using her dark magic, she fell back. Luckily, Seishin was able to save her. You okay? Seishin asked. Yeah. I'm fine, Chloe answered. I cast my dark magic mixed with some of my spiritual pressure on these arrows. My magic may not be as powerful as Olga-sama's, but thanks to the training from both you and Yoriichi-sama, it rivals any other strong dark elf. That's great, Seishin said as he looked at the bow. Now I have one question, what will you name your bow? Ah. I know just the name. And it's all related to my love for you. A budding relationship that bloomed into a passionate bond like our first night together, you with me and Olga-sama. Chloe smiled as she looked at him with a dark red blush before she looked down at the magic seal on her stomach. Chloe giggled before she leaned in and kissed his lips for a few seconds. Morialma. It's Elvish, which means dark flower. Morialma, Seishin smiled as he looked at her bow for a brief moment. The name suits it well. After everyone got cleaned up and went to their respective rooms and got some rest, Seishin, who couldn't sleep, was sitting on the top of the castle. His eyes stared at the stars twinkling in the sky, thinking of a plan to rescue Celestine. He already knows that rescuing her won't be easy, especially since, not only Kabuto is with Volt as well as that they knew that he was the masked man from before, not only will the castle will be heavily guarded, but he has a feeling that Kabuto gave Volt a power-up from the BLD sample that Bespeckled Snake took from him. Just then a familiar voice called out to him. From behind. Seishin. The young man turned around, only to see Aaliyah standing behind him wearing an all-white kimono with light pink lilies all over it. Her hazel-colored hair was thoroughly combed before it was decorated with 3 serious flowers in the side of her hair. Her hazel eyes gazed at Seishin's crimson eyes while a smile was worn on her face. Aaliyah, what's up? Can't sleep? Seishin asked. More or less. Aaliyah answered as she approached him until she was standing next to him, looking up at the stars in the sky. The stars, they're appealing, aren't they? Yeah, they are. Seishin replied as he looked up at him. Celestine-sensei brings me outside the chapel to see the stars at night. Aaliyah said. Whenever we see a shooting star, we simply make a wish and hope that it'll come true. Just like this one right now? Seishin asked as he looked at a few shooting stars flying through the night sky. Aaliyah gasped with glee as she saw those shooting stars in the sky. A smile was worn on her face as she watched them fly through the vast night sky. Yeah, just like those right now. Aaliyah answered as she scooted closer to Seishin. Seishin, what did you wish for? What I wish for? Seishin questioned her question before pondering over what his wish would be. It took a few short seconds before a smile was worn on his face. It's simple, I wished for all of us, Celestine as well, to go on a beach vacation. Free from Volt, or any other corrupt tyrant that would plague this wonderful land. I think that was a wonderful wish. I would love to see that come true. Aaliyah smiled and giggled. So, Aaliyah. What did you wish for? Seishin asked. Aaliyah remained smiling as she leaned in and placed her head on his arm. I already got my wish. Aaliyah answered. Seishin was a little confused at what she meant before she looked up at him. Seishin, what do you think of me? Aaliyah, I. Seishin blushed as she asked him that question while she looked up at him. Soon after, he was able to get his words. I think you're smart, you're kind, you're funny, you're curious and... I mean, do you find me, sexually attractive? Aaliyah shyly asked as a dark red blush colored her cheeks. The elf apprentice felt hesitant, nervous about what she's going to do next. Eventually, she bit her lip, sucked in her hesitance as she turned to Seishin, and pulled off her robe, revealing her 86-centimeter bust. Seishin was left dumbfounded at what Aaliyah had done. Well, you've been with the other girls, minus Roro and Kaguya. I was wondering if I am just as attractive as the others. Aaliyah. Seishin listened to her heartfelt words as he saw tears swelling up in the elf's eyes. The young man simply smiled before he leaned in and kissed her lips softly. Aaliyah felt the purity of his affection before tears ran down her face. She closed her eyes and wrapped her arms around his neck. Seishin, I want you to be my first. Aaliyah said. Wait, are you a virgin, Aaliyah? Seishin asked, feeling a bit surprised. The elf apprentice looked away at the same time when she nodded. Well, it doesn't matter. I'll still make your moment a precious one. Shortly after, the two were in his quarters, clothes were neatly folded and put on the dresser and only the light from the starry sky was their only source for light. Aaliyah was laying on the bed, her arms covering her melons and her legs crossed though she had only her panties on. She kissed Seishin passionately at the same time feeling shy about the whole experience. "Are you sure that you're okay with this, Aaliyah?" he asked her. "Seishin, I don't mind it at all. I like you after all," Aaliyah answered while looking at him with her blush darkening. "Aaliyah, since when did you harbor those feelings about me?" he asked her. "It was since you saved Olga and Chloe. And again when you were with Nina and Kachu," she answered while looking to the side. "It was then when I saw them pleasuring you as a means to thank you. As those two were pleasing you and vice versa, I've imagined myself being pleased by you and at that time, I winded up playing with myself, while you were doing it." "I see." Seishin answered with a serious look before he closed his eyes. It was quickly replaced with his warm smile and a happy chuckle was made. "You don't have to explain more. I will admit as well. I had caught a glimpse of you playing with yourself each time I was with the others, but there's no need to worry now, Aaliyah. I'm happy that you have these feelings for me. I'm happy, too, Seishin. I'm happy that you're my first," Aaliyah said before she gave him a small peck on his lips. "Aaliyah, let me see your melons again, please," he kindly asked. "Okay. Look closely, Seishin," Aaliyah answered before she removed her arms and showed him her perky assets. The elf softly moaned and whimpered when Seishin's right middle finger softly rubbed her left NPL. The pink bud began to get irked so easily from his touch before both of his hands softly caressed her ample assets. "My, Aaliyah, your melons feel perfectly in my hands," Seishin said. "You won't mind if my melons aren't as big as Olga, Celestine Sama, or the others?" Aaliyah shyly asked. "Aaliyah, you are appealing from head to toe," Seishin kindly answered. "You always are." Aaliyah continued to whimper softly as Seishin leaned in and softly planted his lips on her right brst. His tongue softly swirled around her irked NPL while his mouth softly sucks it in like a small vacuum. "It feels so strange, having my melons licked like that," Aaliyah said while he continued to please her ample bosom. Seishin slowly slid his right hand down into her silk white underpants and softly rubs his finger against light pink folds. Aaliyah softly moaned, her hips began to grind against his hand, and her legs wriggled a little as Seishin continued to please her. Within seconds, he felt her flower getting wet with arousal. Seishin softly pulled his lips off her melons and kissed his way down. He softly ate around the rim of her belly button, earning a slight squeak from her before he reached between her legs. He gently pulled her underpants off, and revealed her womanhood with a heart-shaped patch above her CLT. "Seishin. Could you lick down there, too?" Seishin smirked as he gripped her hips and raised them up in the air so he could see both pink SLT and tight back end. "Wait. And no. And not that." Aaliyah whimpered as she watched helplessly as Seishin gazed at both of her holes. "But I have to punish you for doing such a lewd thing," Seishin said teasingly while chuckling a little. Before long, he began both her SLT and her CLT simultaneously, making the elf apprentice Then he moved his TNG to her anus and ate the RM slowly and softly. "And no, Seishin. This is going to make me go crazy." Aaliyah continued to so lewdly while he teased both of her holes with his tongue. Aaliyah felt her body tensing up so easily as Seishin continued to lick her out. It was only a matter of time until she squealed and her juices gushed out like a fountain. A minute later, Aaliyah was laying back with her legs spread out and the remains of her juices were leaking out of her moist flower. The High Elf's apprentice sat up, only to watch Seishin strip his Soul Reaper uniform off and neatly placed it on a chair. Aaliyah blushed when she saw Seishin's hung glory before her very eyes. The two locked gazes at each other before she began to blush. Your PP looks so big. I don't know if it'll fit me," Aaliyah said as she blushed a heavy red while she shyly looked up at Seishin. There's no need to be nervous. I'll take it slow, so you can become more comfortable. Seishin said as he got on top of her. Her hazel eyes met with his crimson ones, gazing at their NDE appearances. Aaliyah's version flower began to tingle with Arlzul and Seishin's mighty sword got irked. Seishin. Please be gentle with me. Please. The elfling asked. I will, Aaliyah. Seishin replied before he aligned his tip to her pink entrance. He took a deep breath before he slid the tip inside her. A second later, he pushed the rest of the length in her. He saw Aaliyah wincing in pain, trying to endure it. Seishin placed his hand above her pink slit, before his hand glowed a light blue. Aaliyah watched as her pain melted away in seconds while Seishin healed her. Are you okay? Seishin asked her. I am now. Aaliyah answered. You can keep going, please. Seishin held her hips before rocking his hips back and forth slowly, sliding his in and out of her moist entrance until she became more adjusted to his size. It feels good. More, Seishin. Aaliyah said, which Seishin kindly agreed before he began moving in her with medium speed. The elf's body jiggled and her melons heaved with each second his body bucked against hers. Minute by minute he continued to fill her body with gentle pleasure. Aaliyah's mind slowly grew foggy with each move he made. Without a reaction, Aaliyah pulled Seishin in and kissed him deeply with her legs wrapped around his waist. A moment later, Seishin sat by the edge of his bed and held Aaliyah by her soft rear. Her legs remained wrapped around his waist like a vice with her arms wrapped around his neck. Her body jiggled with each move he made in her wet snatch while the hazel-eyed elf moaned in his ear. Seishin, I can feel you so deep inside me. Aaliyah said as she moaned from feeling his hung glory hitting so deep within her moist cavern. Her body felt shocks of pleasure coursing through her with each move. Her moans grew louder as Seishin continued to hit her deepest areas inside her. Am I doing everything okay, Seishin? Aaliyah asked him as she locked gazes with him. Yeah. You are doing great, Aaliyah. Seishin answered through his heavy panting. His began to swell up with each move. He can feel his CLMX approaching. Is this how light elves feel? Celestine Sama told me that our womb's tightness rivals that of dark elves. Aaliyah answered through her moans. She told me that I'll soon experience it when I am ready. Now I am experiencing this, and it feels so good. Aaliyah leaned in and kissed him once more as she felt her CLMX approaching. Her inner walls began to swell and tighten around Seishin's strong piston. As Seishin continued to drill through her cavern, he shifted his eyes at Aaliyah and smirked at her reaction to her first experience. A smile. A smile was on her face, Aaliyah enjoying every second of this passionate love she's making with her new lover. Seishin. Seishin, I think I'm coming. Aaliyah cried. Me, too. I'm coming as well. Seishin answered. Leak inside of me, Seishin. I want it. Aaliyah begged him while she felt him going even deeper, nearing her CRVX. Her inner walls were coiling up around his thick like a vice and his was about to explode. With one last move, the two finally reached their peak. Through Aaliyah's eyes, all she saw was a bright white light when she felt her body shiver from her orgasm. At the same time, she felt his hot milk filling her insides. Aaliyah felt her grip weakening from her CLMX and almost fell. Seishin immediately gripped her waist before he purposely fell back on the bed with her, laying on his CHST. Seconds later, their mixed fluids slowly leaked out of her plugged-up entrance. I can feel it. I can feel your juice inside me. Aaliyah said as she gazed at Seishin, who was feeling exhausted from their passionate romp. Minutes later, as Seishin slowly sat up, he saw tears running down Aaliyah's face before she buried her face in his CHST and briefly cried. Are you okay? Seishin asked, feeling concerned for her. I'm fine, I just can't stop crying right now. Aaliyah replied before she felt Seishin's arms wrapped around her back, keeping her close. It's just that I am so happy that you were my first. Aaliyah. Seishin smiled at her as the two gazed into each other's eyes before he wiped her tears off her. I'm glad I was your first. I love you, Seishin. Aaliyah said shyly as she looked at him with a heavy blush on her face. I love you as well, Aaliyah. Seishin and Aaliyah shared one last embrace before the two were wrapped in a silk blanket. Aaliyah snuggled up close to him with her head in his neck. Seishin simply chuckled before the two finally went to sleep. As Seishin was fast asleep, unaware of anyone's presence, another figure appeared within the dark corners of Seishin's inner world. A figureless presence with white glowing eyes watched as Seishin was sleeping soundly. A faint groan was uttered before its formless hand slowly touched the projected screen. MSTR. The formless figure said. It then turned to the other projections showing Seishin's recent encounters against Volt. As it continued to look at the screens, it began to change shape, matching the young man's appearance. During the next 5 days, Seishin, Aaliyah, and their group continued training. He also helped with training Chloe with mastering her new bow. Aaliyah also joined in the training displaying her magic. She displayed her blue flames, electricity enveloping her hands, and she even made 5 light knights, each with a shield and sword in their hands. He even helped teach Aaliyah Kido. Over time, their skills have greatly sharpened during that time. Now, the midnight hour of the 7th day has come at last. The moon shone brightly in the night sky. Seishin stood by the castle entrance, wearing his Soul Reaper outfit. He watched as everyone approached him. As he was feeling a little nervous, Seishin's inner hollow appeared to calm him down. The first group that came out to see him were Aaliyah, Evelyn, Chloe and Olga, Alicia and Prim, Maya, Roro, Kagaya with a handful of her maidens, Claudia and Kachu. The second group that followed them was Fenrir, Kurenai, Ichigo, Rukia, Ranjaku, Nozomi, Yachiru, Murasaki, and Ingrid, Asagi, and Sakura. Seishin, are you ready for this? Alicia asked him. Yeah, I am. Seishin answered after taking a deep breath. Everyone, this is it. If we save Celestine, then we will finally foil KUROINU's plans for Project Sentinential. Soon, we will restore Salinas to normal and build a new and peaceful unity between humans, elves, and all others. Are you all ready? Yes, sir. Everyone answered. Ichigo smirked as he approached Seishin. I'll stay behind in the castle with the other maids and guards. Evelyn said. I'll be cheering for you all from here, MSTR. I appreciate what you're doing, Evelyn. Seishin smiled at the dark elf before he shifted his sights to Ichigo. Well, Seishin. Let's make history. Ichigo said as he summoned his hollow mask. Seishin chuckled at his response before summoning his hollow mask. Yeah, let's do this. Seishin answered before both of the groups held hands with Seishin and Ichigo. Also, thanks again for teaching me shadow travel. Ichigo said before Seishin chuckled. It's no problem, Ichigo. Let's go. Seishin replied before they all jumped into the shadow cast from the moonlight. Minutes later, Seishin and the group arrived outside Olga's former castle. He even remembered the night he rescued both her and Chloe first, as well as the large hole in the wall from his Zero. He used his Zanpakuto's power to make him see things further and clearer. Seishin Dano, how's it looking out there? Maya asked him. There are about 20 guards out there in total, Seishin answered, 4 per side. Some of them are standing by the windows. Others are by the doors. What about Celestine Sama and Volt? Claudia added. Can you find them? No need to worry. Celestine, Volt, and unfortunately Kabuto are all located in the throne room. Ichigo answered. Seishin taught me how to focus on a few energy signatures by separating the others from that target. Alright, Seishin said before an idea came to his mind, but first. Olga, could you use your magic to make the sky so dark that they couldn't see? I can do something even better, my darling. Olga closed her eyes as she was enveloped in a black aura with a magic circle appearing under her feet, as she conjured up a spell in Elvish. Seishin turned to the guards surrounding the castle and noticed something happening. Every one of them began to get all drowsy and fall into a deep sleep, similar to Kabuto's feather illusion jutsu. Volt won't get away with what he had done, especially taking my castle. Olga glared at her own castle with an angered look. And we will make him pay. Now, my inner hollow will tell us what we're facing before seeing Volt and Kabuto. Seishin said as he brought everyone close to what appears to be a huddle. Seishin closed his eyes before letting his inner hollow take control by possessing his left eye. While Olga used a spell to put every guard out there into a deep sleep, I did a quick look at the castle. Seishin's hollow explained. There are about a total of 100 mercenaries, about 30 of them on the lower floors and 20 per floor with only 10 on the fourth floor. Celestine, Volt, and Kabuto are in the throne room like Ichigo said earlier. Heh, that's not bad at all. Maya said, which earned a nod from Seishin. That you are right about, Maya. So now, here's what we're going to do. Seishin began to explain his plan as the others listened. Ichigo. You, Rukia, Yoriichi and Nozomi will team up with Murasaki, Ingrid, Asagi, and Sakura. Take down all of the mercenaries in the lower floor. Yoriichi, if you see any that try to call Volt, stop them. Orihime will stick with you as well, in case if any of you need healing. You got it, leader. Yoriichi replied. Consider it done, Seishin. Murasaki said. We'll make this quick. Rukia added, with Ichigo and Nozomi giving him the thumbs up. Next, Chloe, Olga and Kaguya. Team up with Ranjaku, Claudia and Kurenai and handle the second floor. Seishin continued. Yachiru, Kachu and Roro, you three will handle the entire third floor by yourselves. I know Lumpy and Bony are eager to bust some heads. Yes, sir. Seishin, sir. Yachiru replied like she was a soldier in the army, before she let out a childish giggle. You can count on us, my love. Kachu replied before turning into her hybrid form. Yachiru, who's Lumpy and Bony? Roro asked. My Zanpakuto, but don't worry, they are friendly with you and Kachu-chan, Yachiru answered. Yokata. Roro sighed with relief. Alicia, Prim, Fenrir, and Maya. You four will handle the fourth floor. Seishin said. Work together and you'll make it through. We will. Alicia answered before holding Prim's hand. The two of them smiled and nodded. You got it, Mstr. Fenrir replied. Once you all have done it, meet up with me and Aaliyah as we get Celestine from the throne room, Seishin added before he turned to the elf apprentice. Are you up for this, Aaliyah? We've come too far to turn back now. Let's get my teacher back. Aaliyah answered. Alright, let's begin Operation Royal Rescue. Seishin ordered as he and Ichigo helped get them all in using shadow travel. Starting with the first floor, Ichigo along Rukia, Yoriichi and Nozomi will team up with Murasaki, Ingrid, Asagi and Sakura came out of the shadows inches behind the large group of mercenaries. Before they all could try to react, Ichigo and the others all attacked them. Sounds of fists punching, and blades slicing through flesh was drowning out the screams of the mercenaries. On the second floor, Seishin let Olga, Chloe, Kaguya, Claudia, Kurenai and Ranjaku out from his shadow. The group nodded before Seishin sank back into his shadow. The group stayed close as they ran through the halls until they found the guards. Most of them stood their ground, preparing to fight them, while 2 or 3 of them fled to find Volt. However, it was all for naught as 3 arrows flew through the air and struck them through the back, killing them instantly. Growl, Hiniko. Ranjaku cried as she unleashed her Zanpakuto's power. Her Zanpakuto's blade turned to ash and with a flick of her hilt, the large wave of ash cut through the guards in seconds. At the same time, Claudia along with Kaguya and her maidens were cleaving through the enemies left and right. Claudia slew them down with her long sword that she rightfully took from her former father. Kaguya and her maidens with their katanas. They all sliced through them with sharp accuracy and by the bunch, each of them fell. More of them came to help stop the ladies from killing the others, but they were immediately halted by Kurina's tiki-like creatures. Those creatures growled, displaying their fangs and claws. The mercenaries attempted to slowly move back, but it was no avail as those creatures immediately charged at them and mercilessly killed them with their sharp claws. The rest of the mercenaries were about to fall back, not before Chloe and Olga were about to stop them in their tracks. "Olga-sama, shall we?" Chloe asked. "Yes, Chloe. Let us use the moves Seishin-sama taught us," Olga said before the two held out the palm of their hands. Just then, two small yellow balls of energy the size of a marble appeared as the two chanted. Sprinkled on the bones of the beast. Sharp tower, red crystal, steel ring. Move and become the wind, stop and become the calm. The sound of warring spears fills the empty castle. The two elves spoke in unison as the orbs of energy grew bigger until they were as big as the hands. Heido number 63. Reiko-o. It was at that moment that a massive concentration of energy which resembles a lightning strike was fired from their hands. It flew through the halls like a speeding bullet. It wasn't long until those beams struck the remaining mercenaries on this floor, effectively killing them. Yachiru, Kachu, and Roro finally arrived on the third floor through Seishin's shadow travel. When they saw both the army of mercenaries along with a small army of orcs, Yachiru knew what she had to do. Yay! Time to have some fun. Beikado number 81. Thank you. Yachiru said as she held out her hands. In seconds a defensive wall appeared, but for the pink-haired Shinigami, she made the wall split the two groups up. Kachu and Roro were quite surprised, but they then quickly figured out what she wanted to do. Kachu-chan and Ru-chan, you two can handle those bullies while I play with these orcs. Yachiru said before she ran towards them with her arms out like a happy little girl in recess. It wasn't long until she gripped her Zanpakuto's hilt. Just then, Bony, one of the creatures, is tall and made of bone with teal hair. It wears a black cloak and has a large bone running through its head vertically. Wielding a long dagger-like blade that has another blade protruding at the top edge. The other creature, Lumpy, is plump and covered in yellow fur, leaving its eyes only partially visible, wielding a cleaver. The orcs immediately stopped when they saw the two hollow-like creatures before they tried to flee in fear. Both Lumpy and Bony charged in and eliminated the orcs like they were nothing. At the same time, Kachu and Roro were slaying through the mercenaries with ease. Roro cleaves the way with her battle axe while Kachu swiftly cuts them down with her sword. Within a few minutes, both the orcs and mercenaries on the third floor were nothing but piles of flesh and bones. Kachu and Roro were a little nervous when she saw Yachiru's sword spirits in physical form, but after Yachiru told them that they won't harm them since she's friends with them, they agreed before the two shyly petted them, earning a purr from the two hollow-like creatures. Minutes later, Alicia and Prim, along with Maya and Fenrir, were fighting the horde of mercenaries with ease. Alicia, Maya and Fenrir were taking down each of them quite efficiently. Prim was holding her own as well, but she was caught off guard when one of the men knocked her down. "Prim!" Alicia cried, before a violet blur flew past her in a blink of an eye. It was Fenrir, and fiery rage was in her eyes as she pounced on the man. She glared at the helpless male, showing off her fangs and claws before she mercilessly clawed his face off. She then approached Prim after she wiped the blood off her hands before helping her up. "Are you alright, Prim-chan?" Fenrir kindly asked. "I'm alright, Fenrir. Thank you for helping me." Prim smiled as she and Fenrir shared a giggle. Alicia and Maya smiled as they approached them. "Gotta say, Fenrir, I'm glad you make one amazing ally." Maya grinned, making the wolf girl giggle a little. Yeah, thank you for saving Prim for me. Alicia said as she smiled while wiping a tear from her eye. I'm glad I am here to help my friends. Fenrir smiled as she looked at Maya, Alicia, and Prim. Just then, they saw another wave of mercenaries mixed with orcs charging at the four females. Fenrir, along with Maya, Alicia, and Prim all stood together with weapons firmly grasped in their hands. Here they come. Maya said. Are you all ready for another round? Fenrir smirked as she turned to the others. You know I am. Maya replied with a smirk. I am. Alicia answered. She then turned to Prim, awaiting her answer. Prim closed her eyes and remembered the times she sparred with Alicia, seeing that her skills were steadily improving. She then remembered the time when Seishin risked his life to save them, and became closer to them. Even after Kachu and Nina, even Fenrir siding with them, and just recently Claudia saved, Prim couldn't be any more happier to see Alicia, Seishin and the others all together. Seishin and the others all risked their lives to help, Prim thought. Now, it's time I risk my life to help them. She then opened her eyes and glared at the approaching wave of enemies. As long as I am with either Seishin and his friends, my Wani-sama, or my other sisters in arms, then I am ready. Prim said with newfound confidence as she and the others charged towards the enemy. As the others continued to fight against the opposing mercenaries of KUROINU, Seishin and Aliyah finally reached the throne room. The doors were opened and the lights were dimly lit. When they stepped in the room, they saw Celestine, unconscious, sitting on the throne. Be careful, Aliyah. I have a feeling that we're walking into a trap. Seishin said as the two approached the seemingly empty room. The two thoroughly looked around, making sure there aren't any traps waiting to set off, until they arrived at the throne. The young man muttered his Zanpakuto's name before it turned into his Shurkai form, that is his flame-colored kyber blade. At the same time, Aliyah immediately tried to wake Celestine. Celestine-sensei. Aliyah cried as she shook her teacher back and forth. It didn't take long to wake her up, and when she saw Aliyah with tears streaming down the apprentice's face she wrapped her up in a hug and embraced her. I'm glad that you are safe, my apprentice. Celestine said before turning to Seishin. I knew you would return, Seishin. I'm a man of my word, Lady Celestine. Seishin smiled as he placed his right hand on his chest and gently bowed before the high elf. Soon after, he held out that same hand to her. We're going to get you out of here. Can you stand? Yes, I can stand. Celestine answered. Come on, let's get you out of here. Aliyah said as she pulled her arm like a little kid. I'm afraid I can't let you do that. A familiar voice struck a chord, scaring Celestine. Seishin and Aliyah readied themselves when they turned to see Volt. A smug grin was worn on the leader's face as he stared down. Volt. Aliyah said as she glared angrily at the KUROINU leader. You don't have to worry, apprentice. I'll do the same to you as I did to your teacher. Volt said before a large boa constrictor slithered out of the shadows on his right and in a blink of an eye, it captured Aliyah and Celestine in its coiled grip. As Seishin turned to the sight of the snake. Celestine. Aliyah. Seishin cried. It's best you should focus on your enemy rather than your allies, Samu. Kabuto said as he stepped out from the shadows. His eyes glared at the young man through his glasses as they shined in the dim-lit room. He wore his smug grin on his face as he approached the snake that ensnared Celestine and Aliyah. It appears that your four-eyed snake boy is here as well. Seishin rhetorically said before he noticed that he had a new arm. Heh, nice arm. Seishin smirked, glaring at the scowling look on Volt's face before it hardened from Seishin's words. I'll be sure to pay you back for humiliating me these many times. Volt said as he drew out his broadsword while his glare never left. Thanks to Kabuto, I have gotten a new arm and the serum mixed with your BLD that you graciously donated. Now I am more than strong enough to rip your head from your shoulders. Humph, go ahead and try. Seishin rebuked as he entered his horse stance. Volt growled at the Soul Reaper's remark before he dashed toward Seishin with speed equal to a cheetah. However, it wasn't a problem for Seishin. Volt raised his broadsword overhead before slamming it down, attempting to cleave through Seishin's skull, but Seishin quickly blocked it using the flat side of the blade before parrying it away. Once he saw Volt wide open for an attack, Seishin dived in and struck the leader, leaving a gash on his chest and again down his back. Blood was spilled on the ground before him, before the leader fell face first on the ground. The leader's dead, Kabuto, and you're next. Seishin said. Now, let Celestine and Aaliyah go. I wouldn't count Volt out, demi-human. Kabuto chuckled, which made Seishin slowly turn around. The young man's eyes widened as he saw a dark violet aura envelop the KUROINU leader before getting up. Celestine and Aaliyah were shocked and Seishin was speechless when he saw his wounds magically heal like nothing happened. A low chuckle was made from Volt before he stood up. His hair was flowing in the aura as his chuckle grew into a sinister laugh loud enough for everyone to hear. His natural muscles bulked up due to the rise in strength, his fangs were formed and sharpened, and black highlights were formed under his eyes. At the same time, his skin turned light gray, his hands turned into claws and he grew a few feet taller. I shouldn't have underestimated you, Seishin Samu, Volt said as his malicious smile has never faded. He slowly raised his head as he continued talking, you are indeed the perfect fighter to test my new powers on. You would have been a valuable asset if you were on my side. It's like I told you before when we first met, Volt. I rather side with saving the princesses than join you bags of SHT. Seishin answered. No matter, because now. Volt chuckled menacingly before he opened his eyes, looking at Seishin with the same type of eyes he has when he uses his holification. I get to bathe Salinas in your blood. Seishin charged at Volt, wanting to see what powers he has. The two roared before their blades clashed. Aaliyah and Celestine watched helplessly as Seishin fought against Volt. Their strengths were evenly matched as sparks were made with every clash. Voli growled, glaring at Seishin as even with his new strength, it wasn't enough to defeat him. Seishin, let me help free Aaliyah and Celestine. I'll quickly get them to safety. Seishin's hollow said, which made the young man nod. Hold on for 10 seconds, then let out your Bankai to finish Volt off. Understood. Seishin nodded before his hollow ended communication. The 10 seconds began as Seishin clashed blades with Volt once more. His inner hollow stretched out from Kabuto's shadow and with his Zanpakuto in hand, he quickly and carefully cut the snake's body in half, freeing the two elves. Kabuto gasped as Seishin's inner hollow managed to obtain the two elves. Seeing that his hollow got them, he began to no longer hold back. Time I heat things up. Seishin said as he pushed Volt back before forming a flaming sphere-shaped cage. Volt gasped as he was about to use full power. Now, ban. I was hoping you would use that, Samu. Kabuto said as he made multiple hand signs, preparing for a jutsu. Snake Sage Art, Chaotic Discord. Kabuto immediately held his right hand out with the palm facing forward as a seal was formed. He quickly fired it at Seishin's back just as he was about to unleash his power. Seishin suddenly felt his body getting heavy, like he's pressed against a boulder, his power slipping away and his Zanpakuto back in its sealed state. At the same time, his inner hollow began to dissolve from physical existence, freeing the elves. What happened? Celestine asked her apprentice, feeling shocked. I don't know. This has never happened before. Aaliyah answered. Something is wrong with Seishin's powers. Seishin, our power. Someone is Br King our connection. Can't. Maintep mu lon dash Seishin struggled to hear what his inner hollow was saying as something, or someone had severed their connection. Before long, he could no longer hear another word. Elsewhere, Ichigo, and the others all regrouped on the 4th floor. They all shared compliments, relieved that they are all alright. As they were about to feel relaxed, they suddenly felt a massive drop in power. I sense someone's power drop to an all-time low. Fenrir said. It's Seishin. He's in trouble. Ichigo cried, which left everyone gasping. He must be facing Volt and Kabuto. Seishin's with Aaliyah. Kachu said. They went to save Celestine, we have to help them. Yeah, let's go. Rukia answered. Just as they were about to make their run to the throne room, another large wave of mercenaries, monsters and mutants all appeared to stop them. DMN. These guys are persistent. Alicia said. Well, we're not going to get to him by just standing still. Claudia said. We must push through. Either way, we have to get to Seishin-sama. Chloe added before she fired an arrow at the orc's head, effectively killing it. Chloe's right. We must take these guys down and then we'll make our way to the throne. Ingrid said. Let's go. Right. Everyone said as they all charged at the incoming wave. So alright folks, that's all for today. Stay tuned for part 10. Do subscribe, like and share for more such videos. Also check out the story and author Takamagara 2012 on fanfiction.net. Press the bell icon to be notified first on release. See you in the next video. Till then, goodbye.